People receive hundreds of digital messages a day, from push notifications to emails. So, how do you engage your top prospects and stand out? By sending personalized gifts the old fashioned way with Sendoso. Sendoso helps you use gift giving and direct mail throughout your customer lifecycle, from lead generation to converting customers into brand advocates. From sourcing to sending and centralizing the direct mail and gifting process, Sendoso helps you scale your gift giving, stand out, and keep your brand top of mind. Visit sendoso.com to learn more.
You're listening to B2B Growth, a daily podcast for B2B leaders. We've interviewed names you've probably heard before, like Gary Vaynerchuk and Simon Sinek, but you've probably never heard from the majority of our guests. That's because the bulk of our interviews aren't with professional speakers and authors. Most of our guests are in the trenches leading sales and marketing teams. They're implementing strategy. They're experimenting with tactics. They're building the fastest growing B2B companies in the world. My name is James Carberry. I'm the founder of Sweetfish Media, a podcast agency for B2B brands, and I'm also one of the co-hosts of this show. When we're not interviewing sales and marketing leaders, you'll hear stories from behind the scenes of our own business. We'll share the ups and downs of our journey as we attempt to take over the world. Just kidding. Well, maybe. Let's get into the show.
All right, everyone. Hello and welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. I'm your co-host for the ABM series. My name is Kris Rudeegraap, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Sendoso. And today I'm joined by Heidi Vandermeer, and she is the account-based marketing manager at Security Compass. Heidi, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Excellent, excellent. Well, for today's topic, I want to kind of hone in on old school meets new school. I know that direct mail isn't new. You know, decades ago, direct mail was a hot topic before kind of email came around. But I think there's, new tricks to the trade with account-based marketing and how people are using direct mail. So wanted to kind of focus on that for today's show. And maybe we can get started and just how things have changed in terms of kind of teamwork and collaborating with sales and the customer success teams. If you had any insights there coming from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah, so with direct mail collaborating with other teams, account-based marketing especially requires a lot of alignment between marketing and sales. If your account-based marketing strategies are more customer-focused, then you might be collaborating with your customer team. And at a lot of organizations, traditionally, these two different groups don't always work that well together, but it's really required for account-based marketing. And so the biggest thing when I'm running campaigns, especially something around direct mail, is that I've found collaborating with that sales team and having a lot of alignment can make your tactics a lot more successful. And specifically working on direct mail, because it's so targeted, it's something that someone gets, I find is a great way to align these two different cross-functional teams on this campaign and on your initiatives. It's a great way to get ideas from the people that you talk to, who talk to your audience regularly, helps you make sure that you're targeting the right people. Your sales team's also like this live feedback loop that you can work with to improve your campaigns as you're going through. And depending on the organization, I find a lot of reps or different customer facing people have sent out types of direct mail in the past, and it's not always being tracked. And so if you're going through account-based marketing and having this more focused approach, keep giving them the autonomy still to be able to send certain things, but then coordinate it and make sure that it's meeting certain standards on the marketing side, I think is another benefit with account-based marketing and using direct mail.
Very interesting. And kind of honing in on that a little further, are you seeing that you're collaborating more with or with all of these folks, whether it's the SDR function, inside sales, field reps? Could you talk to any points there?
Yeah, so with direct mail specifically, I find that it can be used across all of these different areas, but in very different capacities. And so if you have existing relationships with someone, it's going to be a much different game than if you're working with your SDRs or your cold outreach. If it's cold outreach, often it's a lot more campaign focused. If you're doing bespoke account-based marketing that involves a lot of research to help make it successful, then you can put a lot more time into putting something together. But again, like the cold outreach will often have an offer or just kind of something a bit smaller to start that relationship off. Whereas if you're already engaged, it could be more appropriate to send them certain things depending on what you know about them in that relationship. So we really scale out direct mail very differently depending on the stage of the buying journey that our audience is in.
Totally. And I think that brings up a point too around the importance of the follow-up, as marketing is helping coming up with the concepts of these direct mail sends. Sales is sending them out and following up, which can be different from the old school way where marketing would batch send once a quarter 10,000 things or 1,000 things and say, hey, sales, follow up. Now that it's more real time and you're using new software to do more real-time direct mail, can you talk through any of the importance of like the follow-up or things you've seen?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing that's really great with using different types of software to help do direct mail is that you can get live notifications and you can track out from both the marketing perspective all the way through sales and really make that follow-up a bit more targeted and more relevant. We've had, for example, what I've done is I've set up really specific sales outreach and instructions. As soon as this is delivered, we want you to start reaching out like this. And our audience has they've been really surprised and actually impressed with how what they see as a marketing initiative has been very well aligned with the sales initiative. And just the messaging that we tie in from one to the next is really consistent. We can control a little bit for quality and make it really personal and just help to increase effectiveness. I do find following up has been able to, in really coordinating sales outreach, has increased engagement levels from using direct mail by 3 to 4 times, even if we've had this really specific call to action included in the direct mail piece. That personal follow-up from an actual human has helped us so much to increase responses.
Very cool. And one of the things too that I think you're even more of an expert at, given your time spent at Uberflip, is kind of the offline online world. I know at Uberflip, they're really enabling marketers create digital experiences with content. So I'd love to kind of pick your brain or hear any cool scenarios on how, the offline direct mail connected with kind of the online world.
Yeah, definitely. So I think this is an area that kind of is the most relevant from the idea of going from something old school to bringing it into new school. And I think it's important that if you send something physical that your recipient likes, you don't want that experience to just stop with whatever you're sending them. There's so many different ways that you can continue the journey nowadays, enabled by lots of really interesting technology that's out there. And a couple of examples could be that you're sending them to different relevant content experiences. It could be a specific landing page. You could even link it to some type of digital gifting, which can help with different tracking and or online communities. And it's again, I love how we can combine these offline direct mail experiences to these online experiences. I think combining them just creates a bigger impact. It helps drive a more consistent message across multiple channels. And it's a very powerful way that you can link something that was traditionally just kind of one channel, almost a dead end experience, to something that can continue on right from the moment they receive something.
Cool. And kind of thinking through the impact more specifically around metrics and tracking. We'd love to kind of dive in deeper there to see kind of your feedback of, what kind of KPIs, call to actions, or tracking through Salesforce, looking anything like that that's kind of you've seen success in or, have done yourself in the past.
Yeah, definitely. So tracking in marketing I see it as basic table stakes, just in order to know what's working, what's not working. I've tracked different things with direct mail, actually, depending on what we're sending. Some things that you send out, it's a little bit more relational and you're not necessarily tracking a specific next step or a specific action. I've done other campaigns that are offer-based. So, for example, you send them one thing to encourage them to take a demo, and if they take a call or take a specific next step, you reward them with something else. And so those that you're measuring a little bit, those are more harder metrics as to whether that demo conversion is at a certain percentage. And again, kind of like what I mentioned earlier, some direct mail in the past or with different teams, like your sales or customer reps, just isn't always tracked properly. And so if it's going through the right channels, or if you have a software system that can automatically sync everything you're sending right into your CRM or the system that you're tracking campaigns in, just being able to track the history, the results, the ROI from everything that you're doing is it's like a dream come true. And you can also layer in different things like attribution through your different channels if you have some kind of revenue attribution tool that you're using as well. And again, there's so many different modern systems that we can use. I've done a lot of tracking within our marketing automation platform, whether that's Marketo, Pardot, as well as our CRM. I have a lot of experience using Salesforce, but I know that there's other ways that people will track that as well. So it's seeing what works from a marketing perspective. Again, it's a really obvious benefit that isn't traditional across all teams for how it's tracked, or at least the level that it's tracked at. And having some kind of visible system that it's tracked in, like a Salesforce, can help with even like more subtle problems that can come up. For example, your reps might not be able to see what you sent, and so they're going to send something else. And then this one person's getting bombarded from the same company with all of these different messages and all these different things, which ultimately wastes money and makes it less effective. So it's really important to effectively track what you're sending out.
Awesome. One thing that came to mind is just like the personalization of direct mail. I'm curious your perspectives. I know that you used to kind of run account-based marketing and target marketers. Now you've switched industries. I know it's still pretty recent, but now you're doing account-based marketing to kind of the IT department, or the tech side of the house. Have you seen anything different, any takeaways, or is it too early?
Yeah, definitely. So I think if you can be personal and relevant, like across any industry, everybody wants to feel somewhat special. And there is that psychology of gifting where when you receive something, it just, you can change the entire tone of a conversation with a gift and make it a lot more positive. And again, like getting the wrong thing within either industry, if it feels like spam, it kind of ruins that positive experience. So being personal and relevant, depending on what you're looking at, can really help. Something interesting that has happened for me moving kind of from the marketing side into a more even bigger enterprises and information security is that the gifting game, you have to be really careful about who you're sending it to, understand whether that company can even accept some type of direct mail or gift. And some people, it's interesting, like in the marketing world, there's different demographics, even like gender type demographics I have to take into consideration when you're sending something out. So knowing your audience, at least for me, it's been a very interesting and great learning experience to kind of go from that one demographic and department to the next. But again, like there's some things that I've apply across both, but there's just more to consider.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting nuance. We've seen some stuff too where, when you think about direct mailer gifting, it's like, what cool thing can you send somebody? We're seeing that, for certain industries, focusing on spending money on maybe a really cool like box where a video opens up where there's no monetary value, or even just a simple handwritten note can go a long way. And you don't have to think about, hey, how much should I spend on this person and what kind of gift, but more of like, what's that experience that they're going to see and ways to deliver your message. And maybe it's not even a gift at all. Maybe it's just a cool form factor box with a message that plays. So
yeah, there's so many options and so many different things that you can work on that don't necessarily violate what a company will accept.
So I see that you're also the co-organizer of the Toronto ABM Meetup, and you've been running that for a couple years now. How has that grown in terms of just, the ABM space in general? I know is blowing up, but have you seen any interesting kind of meetup attendance records being broken, or any insights there? Just curious.
Yeah, so it's been a really cool experience. Just over 2 years ago, when I first started focusing solely on account-based marketing, I was looking for different ways that I could learn from other people and who I could get connected to, especially in the space where I am in Toronto, up here in Canada. And I remember looking on like Meetup, and I found this one person that had tried to set up an account-based marketing event the year before, and he had his name is Steve Watt. He's doing a lot of great things in the account-based marketing space right now. And I think he had 6 people attend, and they were pretty much all his friends at the time. And since then, I offered to kind of help see if we could organize something, and because I, for myself, wanted to learn and share it with other people, and he was open to it. And so since we've started, it did start off kind of small. We were getting like anywhere from like 20 to maybe 30 people attending the events, and we had under 100 people signed up. And now we have almost 700 people signed up. So it's grown so much. And the different companies in Toronto, even from when we started, it was really hard for us to even find a company that had been doing account-based marketing for more than a year. And now there's multiple companies going on this journey and getting a lot more sophisticated with their account-based marketing. So it still feels like a relatively new space, but it's incredible to just see the growth within the community over here just within the past few years. So it's been exciting.
Very cool. Any other trends or other ABM, tips or tricks you could share with the audience today that come to mind?
Specific to account-based marketing, or just ABM, or sorry, specific to direct mail or account-based marketing in general?
I think account-based marketing in general is cool.
Yeah. So it's funny, ever since I first got into the account-based marketing space and was talking with a lot of other marketers, there's been a few things that I feel like have been an issue from the start and are still being worked on. Especially one thing that is really interesting to me is the dynamic between sales and marketing. I sort of mentioned it at the beginning here, but I think that in terms of direction and goals and culture, often marketing and sales don't always get along swimmingly. And I just have really liked to see how the different departments have been working together and different strategies to make that happen. And if you ask someone when they're speaking, oh, how's your marketing and sales alignment? They're like, oh, it's great. But then you talk to them afterwards at the conference and they're like, actually, there's this, and this that's still happening. And so, so again, focusing on good communication, focusing on aligned goals, focusing on putting in the effort to kind of build a relationship. That's so important to being successful in account-based marketing.
I love it. Well, Heidi, this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate you taking some time to talk about account-based marketing here. For everyone who's listening, make sure you're subscribed to hear more from episodes coming up of the B2B Growth Show, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kris.
We totally get it. We publish a ton of content on this podcast, and it can be a lot to keep up with. That's why we've started the B2B Growth Big Three, a no-fluff email that boils down our 3 biggest takeaways from an entire week of episodes. Sign up today at sweetfishmedia.com/big3. That's sweetfishmedia.com/big3.